Thank you for staying with us, and as promised, we now want to talk about the man Raila Amolo Odinga. And joining me in studio is Arnold Maliba. He is a political analyst. Welcome, Arnold, to the show.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Yes.
It's not necessarily a happy moment for the country, but I'm happy to be around to also have an input into this.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, Arnold. I mean, like you say, it's not a happy moment, but the man Raila Odinga is a man that cannot be laid to rest silently, you know, and he's a man that if we started talking about his life and times, we probably will take months and months, you know, to unpack that. But let's just start by looking at what happened today. What do you make of what happened today at, in Kisumu, vis-a-vis what happened in Nairobi on the day that, Raila's body was brought to the country?
I think there's this attempt, of course, by all of us to try and have a framework within which we can discuss Raila, and that has always been the mistake. Subsequent people, even authorities, have had a problem dealing with him because they come up with a framework and they expect him to fit in. Yeah. Raila, of course, he's known by very many names, and among the names, of course, is Agwambo. Of late, people have not been talking about Agwambo so much, but Agwambo would mean the mysterious one. Yes. You've seen the book written by, I'm forgetting the Nigerian guy, talking about Raila as the Enigma in Kenyan politics. By the way, the word Enigma and Agwambo are synonymous. They mean the same, mysterious. So everything has actually gone with that slant, the Raila way of doing things. Yeah. If you remember, is that every time Azimio, or rather whether he was called Azimio or ODM, if they had a rally, for example, the only person who was assured of a seat at the podium was Raila Odinga. Everybody else, it didn't matter whoever you are. You had to either have people fight for you and ensure that you get a seat, or find means on how you get around there. So yet, those rallies will still work and they were still impactful. So there's the Raila way of doing things. And he's kept the signature even in death. It's the rest of us who are busy trying to have him fit into a template we've actually created. And that's why I also think that probably as much as military processes and traditions are quote-unquote rigid and fixed, they've actually been forced to go the Raila way.
Adjust somehow.
They have had to adjust. Okay. So the way we've been told that the military must, their traditions and how they run things is that it's actually very straight. Raila might have gone to Germany and probably he had his thinking that if he gives us 72 hours, we will go with the German efficiency. You know, you talk about the German machine and how efficient it is. He forgot that he's the only one who went to Germany. He didn't go with us, so we will still do things our own way. He also taught us, of course, to question authority, that there is always a way, that things are possible. And that is why, even when he came up with his 72-hour wish, we still had to do public participation on it and adjusted it. Because he taught us public participation. He did consult us before he came up with that. And somehow, even as a society, we sat down, that whereas there are those who are saying, let us go with 72, the others said no. Raila himself has never attended a funeral as huge as what we are attending. And had he been alive, he probably would have told the people organizing a similar event to do it differently. So he says his 72 hours, we adjust it to 120 hours. We meet in the middle, he will have to understand.
Yeah, and just like you're saying, Agwambo, the Enigma, we'll be unpacking that in so many other ways, you know, talking just about that. But yes, in Nairobi, it was chaotic on the first day. The fact that it was a state funeral, but it did not fit what a state funeral should have been. And even today, there were a few people who were demanding, you know, to speak, you know, to be given a chance to speak. And even, I think, in the MC at the stadium was like, you know, we have to keep order. Normally, even in funerals, local funerals, even if it's not a state funeral, you also have to be in the program to be able to speak. Mama Ida coming out today and just asking the people, you know, maintain peace because and decorum, you know, and give him a befitting send-off. So if you compare those two, definitely the organizers learned something from what happened in Nairobi. And so today it was more orderly, despite maybe one or two issues, but not as bad as it happened, if I may put it that way, in Nairobi.
Of course, in Nairobi on day one, looked like we had not done any plans, but I think the news was actually heavy, and a few of the people who, in my opinion, will actually have done much better were not on the ground. You see, when you have got intensive operational demands like what we've had going through this short time, you need people, the decision-making room, or decision-making level must be a little bit higher. And in this case, I'm specifically speaking to the CS Interior, for example. Realistically, had he realized that rushing to go to India was good, yes, because he considers himself a mentee of Raila Odinga, he would actually have done Raila better by staying home and burning the midnight oil to plan better. Because in his absence, there are some other things. As much as there was a presidential committee that was working on some stuff, the person who was implementing was the PS. The PS works within a framework. But a CS can own some decisions that go over and above policy, over and above the budgets that exist. He can defend that in the cabinet. So the CS will only ordinarily work within a framework. So I think if Murkomen had stayed home, he would actually have done better. The other person who would actually have helped in auxiliary plans and helping manage the mobilization and regimenting the city was actually Governor Sakaja. If Sakaja had stayed back and thought through the day, he would probably have used the resources at his within his reach to organize the city better, mobilize people, and put them in ways that they wouldn't actually breach the airport. Because all of us expected that the airport would be breached. You didn't need to be a security operative to actually know that if we allow the masses to go to the airport, it will be breached. And you realize that was done. They went to the air side. We will be dealing with IATA, and of course we'll tell them that that was a force majeure. It was way beyond us, not an act of negligence, because the airport has got ratings that we have to stick to. There are practices that we must do. And that is why, like, the airport had to be closed for at least 2 hours to recalibrate the whole thing, sweep the airport clean, put everything in place. And
I think also the organizers learned from what happened, you know, that particular day. And I mean, I think everybody was overwhelmed, including the leaders. You know, so it was unexpected.
Maria still believed that we just were ill-prepared, not overwhelmed. The people, the crowds at the airport were not as big as the crowds, for example, that showed up at the airport during Baba while you were away. That is a truth. You can compare. You have got the footage. You can actually see it was way bigger when they had Baba while you were away. Literally, the roads could not move that day. From the airport going through Outer Ring and then Jogoo Road on that day. We would have done much better. The people who were at Kasarani, for example, were not as many as the crowds just the other day we saw during Chan. Remember, the people had congregated in town, and then quickly they were told to go to Kasarani. So already the intensity, as much as it was a big number for a short time, but if we had told people earlier on that they were going to Kasarani, they would have been much more. It was a failure in planning as opposed to being overwhelmed realistically, because we have got capacity to manage that.
But I must commend them, the organizers, beg your pardon, that they took their lessons, and I think Kisumu has been handled quite well. And you know, there was a plan. There was a plan actually to go by road all the way to Bondo. I think until probably this time they would have still been on the roads, and so that was also a lesson for them.
I don't think it was a lesson for them. They just had to go back to Raila's rule book to be as mysterious. Today we've seen assets that do not. Ordinarily, people don't see them. Today, we saw NIS plans for the first time coming out for a public operation. They had to be mysterious. They had to work outside of a framework so as to move, to get things working. The very way Raila would work. Sometimes, you know, like when he was talking about swearing in himself, everybody knew this was going to be as treasonous as possible. But then he gave the authorities some room for them to wriggle out by saying, by swearing in himself as the people's president. So you cannot then run with the issue that he has actually done the presidential oath of office. He will always give a room, but you know, you will have to have a higher level of thinking to get that. The same approaches to what I want to call as his baseline legacy that everybody remembers, the handshake. People talk about handshakes a lot. He was around there. But then, if you are a scholar in leadership, governance, and management, there's something called collaborative problem-solving skills. Better still, if you are to flip it and look at it from a governance perspective, you are looking at, the word is why is the word running away? But the word around collaborating with people. Consensus building. Consensus building as a strategy in leadership. Because there are times when you have your way, I have my way, but all of us have to deliver on one project. You know, even as we run this, you've been having a news magazine running with this, right? Okay. Even as you run with that, the guys in the background, guys in the gallery, the people running the cameras here, the person doing the directing and everything, the objective is one, but all of us have got a way of arriving at it. Yeah. So we must have consensus building. So
Raila was good at that in terms of
that is what we are defining as handshakes. Because he cannot have his way 100%. He has got people pushing him. And on the other side, there are also consequences. They also
so you must find a middle ground.
So you must find a middle ground.
Okay. Yeah. Now, our time is running out. I mean, we could have talked about so many things as far as the man Raila is concerned. But tomorrow, they're going to be accommodating quite a number of visitors. You know, guests will be talking and all that. How do you think they should actually accommodate the different shades of visitors who are going to be there?
I hope that the planners are actually going to reflect Raila's, the people that are allowed to speak or given a chance to speak will reflect Raila's journey. Yeah. For example, there is a person who's given Raila support for 3 times. Raila has run 5 times for president. 3 times, one man has put aside his ambition, and that is Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. It's important that the planners actually have to think through that. The other thing that is important is that the song, the 2022 song, Inawezekana, the Lero ni Lero song, that honestly was Baba's last production in a studio. It's important that at least there is Emmanuel Musiti, for example, because Raila had this love for the Western Kenya people, and that's why you've seen delegations. I think up to 6 delegations by this evening had come in.
Thank you so much.
From Kakamega and other places.
I would have loved to continue this, but my director tells me that time is not on our side and we need to pack our things and get out of studio. But thank you so much, Arnold Maliba, for coming in. We'll be speaking to Arnold Maliba. He's a political analyst, just trying to unpack for us the man Raila Amolo Odinga. And definitely, this is still going to go on. Tomorrow is the final. We are reaching the home stretch tomorrow. My colleagues are at Kango, Kajaramogi, and also at Opoda Farm, just to bring us up to speed with what will be happening there. And so I'm leaving you right now with some pictorials of the days happening. My name is Maria Mbone. Helping me on the sign language was Byron Aboli.